The Circle Theater Company is presenting their new play, Calamity Jane, at the Orlando Repertory Theater this month from June 4th to the 7th. Follow Calam, who dresses like a man, totes a gun, and drives the Deadwood City Stagecoach. Well-meaning but disaster-prone, she tries to help the local saloon proprietor out of a jam by promising to fetch a music hall star from Chicago. A hilarious comedy with many tender moments and some very famous numbers, including Secret Love, Black Hills of Dakota, Deadwood Stage, and Windy City. For more information on this event, please visit circletheatercompany.com.
Date night is back at Lou Gardens for the first week of June. On the 5th of this month, come and enjoy an outdoor movie in the beautiful gardens with your date or loved ones. Bring your blankets, chairs, and dinner picnic baskets so you can relax while watching The Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part 1. Alcohol is permitted for this event, and Kirby's Sidewalk Cafe will be selling great food, while Peak Season Pops will be selling delicious popsicles and popcorn for you to enjoy. More information on date night can be found online at lougardens.org.
Annie Jr. is the new stage play at the Princess Theater in Central Florida this month, running from the 5th to the 7th. Annie Jr. is the story of little orphan Annie, who, with pluck and positivity, charms everyone she meets, despite a next-to-nothing start in Depression-era New York City of the 1930s. She's determined to find her parents after being abandoned on the doorsteps of an orphanage run by the cruel Miss Hannigan, and she gets into hilarious situations along the way. For more information on this event, please visit spotlightcfl.org.
Science Night Live is back at the Orlando Science Center this month on June 6th. Come see how grown-ups do the Science Center. Science Night Live is reserved strictly for adults with grown-up inspired programming and hands-on challenges. Guests can enjoy the night sky through the giant refractor telescope in the Crosby Observatory, conduct lab experiments in the Dr. Dare's laboratory, delight in food, beer, and wine available for purchase, and much more. For more information on this event, please visit osc.org.
You know, I recently got to check out a very cool place in town.
Did you? You're always checking out cool places.
That's what I do. I go to cool places. I went to the Art and History Museum's Maitland.
Nice. Well, maybe we should go check it out?
I think so.
Let's do it.
This beautiful hidden gem is part of the Art and History Museum's Maitland campus, and we're going to walk across the street and meet the executive director, Andrea Bailey Cox. Come on. Hey, Andrea.
Hi, welcome, Michelle.
So tell me, where are we?
We are at the Art and History Museum Maitland, and this is the Maitland Arts Center campus. It's a 1937 artist colony, and as you can see around us, it's one of the best examples of Mayan revival architecture in the U.S.
It is gorgeous. Just moments ago, we actually saw an eagle come down from one of the trees and have a late morning snack, so that was cool.
This is a gorgeous place, especially early in the morning. We get cranes, owls, all sorts of wildlife.
So tell me a little bit more about this campus, because you've got more locations than just this one.
We do. We operate 5 museums on 2 historic campuses. The Maitland Arts Center, which we're in right now, is our largest museum, and it is on both sides of Packwood, and it is filled with education classrooms, artist studios, offices, a wonderful outdoor chapel. And then next door we have the Maitland Historical Museum and the Telephone Museum.
Wow.
Yes, the Maitland Historical Museum is really focused on personal legacies in the area and how that's reflective of the American experience. And the Telephone Museum is something that both children and adults love. Some people think Telephone Museum and they're kind of like, not so sure. And then they go in and they fall in love with it because everything's interactive. So you get to use 1910 technology all the way up to the rotary phones of the 80s and early 90s. And it's wonderful to see kids come in there and they have no idea what to do with the rotary phone.
I know.
So wonderful exhibits there, and then our other campus is right around Lake Lily. Wonderful community festivals happen there, so a lot of people know our museums there because they've come to an art festival or a family festival.
They do the food truck night.
Yes, they do the food truck cafe there. We have a Victorian House Museum there, the Waterhouse Residence Museum, that truly is like taking a step back in time because it's not the type of museum where you have lots of glass or stanchions. You walk right in and it looks like the family just walked out, so it's a really intimate experience.
So tell me a little bit about these little, I see like little tiny houses around this gate.
Yes, so the Artist Colony had all sorts of studios that really some of the most famous American artists of the time in our classic periods from 1937 and 1959 would come down and they would live and work during the winter.
Oh.
So all of these studios were actually live workspaces, and it was called the Research Studio at that time. So it was all about experimentation and modernism. Some of the luminaries of the time like Milton Avery and Ralston Crawford came and lived and worked here.
So not only is this a museum, but you also have art classes and things for people to do.
We do. We have an amazing amount of programming across all 5 museums. People often say they have something for everyone. We truly do. From our Carpentry Shop Museum, which is a working antique tool museum where kids actually get to build birdhouses, to our art instruction here, our professional workshops for both amateur and professional artists. We have an artist in residence program here where nationally known artists come and live and work here again as part of our legacy.
Wow. There's so much. So much.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go look around if you don't mind.
Yes, I'd love to show you our galleries.
Let's do it. Andrea was just explaining to me that this is a permanent gallery here at the museum.
Yes, in this beautiful room, it is one of the examples of some of the greatest murals by Andre Smith are in this room, and so it's a perfect place to host our permanent exhibition on the Research Studio's history and to showcase some of Andre Smith's work.
Now tell me a little bit about this picture over your shoulder.
I love this watercolor. This is a watercolor by Andre Smith, which was a rendering of his vision for the Research Studio. Now this was done in the mid-1930s, and the complex was built between 37 and 42. And one of the things that you can see here is that he had such a strong vision, because as you walk around the campus today, you see almost everything is exactly the way that he originally imagined it.
I see where we were standing earlier.
Yes, the beautiful pond, which is one of our best features.
And we were talking a little bit about the courtyard right out this window.
Yes, this is the Annie Russell courtyard. And in many ways, Annie Russell is the reason that we're all standing here today, because Andre Smith became friends with Annie Russell when he worked with her on scenes and all of the background work for some of her theater work in New York.
Okay.
And so he came down, he had this vision to start an artist colony, and he was actually going to Miami to start it. And he stopped in Winter Park to see Annie Russell, and he fell in love with this place specifically, Lake Sibylla. Part of that story is really about how he saw the sunset on Lake Sibylla, which is at this end of our property, and fell in love with it. And anyone who's been here at sunset, it sounds sort of cliche, but there's this amazing pink light that spreads all over our campus.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yes, and so he chose this place and then found funding because he met Mary Curtis Bach through
Who's
Annie
right behind
Russell.
you?
Yes, this is a picture of Mary Curtis Bach, whose family was Curtis Publishing with Ladies Home Journal, and then she married Edward Bach of Bach Tower fame. And she was the patroness of this campus from 1937 to 1959 when our founder passed away.
So really without her, we wouldn't be standing here today.
That's correct. She was a great lover of the arts.
Wow, so you got a little bit of history here. Why don't we head over to the History Museum?
That would be wonderful.
We are right next door to the Maitland Art Center here at the Maitland Historical Museum. So Andrea, tell me a little bit about what we can find here.
Well, for the guests to the Art and History Museums Maitland, the Maitland Historical Museum is the great place to start. We are standing right now in our permanent exhibition entitled Legacies. And when they come here, they really get to see wonderful artifacts from local history, as well as learn about the personal stories that made a national impact and helped grow this town.
Okay, very cool.
And some of those personal stories are really reflective of all 5 of our museums. So you get to learn about Maitland's history in general, which is fantastic. There's great ties to Eatonville. And then you also get to learn about the story of the Maitland Art Center, where we just were, learn more about our founder, Andre Smith here. And then you get to learn about our telephone museum, which we talked a little bit about earlier. I think that I didn't mention at that time that the telephone museum is based on the legacy of the Galloway family. The Galloway family started the telephones in this whole Maitland Winter Park area out of the back of their grocery store in 1910. So just with 8 lines, started the Winter Park Telephone Company, which eventually was bought out by Bell South, and on and on and on to the telephone system that we have today.
Wow, I wondered why there was a telephone museum. Now I know.
Yes, very important technological revolution for the area right here in Maitland. We also talk about the Waterhouse family, which is representative of the Waterhouse Residence Museum and the Carpenter Shop Museum.
And then what kind of events can people find here?
We have all sorts of events on both campuses. We have wonderful concerts for music lovers. We have literary readings. We partner a lot with Performing Arts of Maitland.
Oh, wow.
We have changing exhibitions at all of our museums. Hands-on history programming at the Carpenter Shop Museum. You can actually go in, it's a working tool museum.
Wow.
And you can build birdhouses and toolboxes using 19th century tools. So we've got hands-on history programs, art instruction, a little something for everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much for showing us around today.
Thank you for coming.
Wow, that was pretty incredible. I'd like to thank Andrea for taking the time today and showing me around the Art and History Museums Maitland. Every time you come here, you'll discover something new. There you have it. They always have something new and exciting going on.
Exactly. Well, thanks for taking a visit.
Of course.
All right, Real Lives, Observations and Reflections by Dale Kennington is the current popular exhibit at the Manila Museum of American Art up until June 7th. Dale Kennington is a contemporary painter working in the style of New American Realism. Kennington's work is included in numerous public and private collections, and she was recognized by the Alabama State Council as one of Alabama's master artists. For more information on this event, please visit manelomuseum.com.
The annual juried art show of Osceola Arts is back this year on June 1st till the 7th. With a long tradition in Osceola County, this show enjoys continued support from the Osceola County community and artists. Florida artists are invited to submit up to 2 pieces in painting, photography, mixed media, sculpture, and drawing to compete for Best in Show, First, Second, Third, and 2 honorable mentions. Work will be judged on quality, originality, concept, design, and technique. So come and enjoy some of the finest art Central Florida has to offer at this popular art show. For more information on this event, visit osceolaarts.org.
The Mad Cow Theater Company presents their new act, Ain't Misbehavin', this month starting on June 5th and continuing on through July 5th. Come and watch one-of-a-kind comedy production as only Mad Cow Theater can produce. This joint is jumpin' with a rowdy, raunchy celebration of Harlem's Cotton Club and the heyday of swing, inspired by music and the philosophy of Fats Waller. This is an adult-only event, so parents may want to keep their children at home for this one. Now, for more information on this event, please visit madcowtheater.com.
I love the Mad Cow Theater.
Yeah, they got some great stuff. And I love the local restaurants around it, too. Have you been to Rusty Spoon?
Yes, love Rusty
Love
Spoon.
that place.
'Cause it's all locally sourced, too.
Mm-hmm. And I'm vegan. They make a vegan plate just for me. If you say you're vegan, they'll make a special plate just for you.
That's fantastic.
From scratch. Good stuff. We love our restaurants and our local theater companies.
We do. Well, that's the perfect way to wrap up this week of events. If you have any you'd like to share with us for next month, send an email to cafe@ocfl.net. Until then, I'm Michelle Wargo.
And I'm Corey from the Garden Theater. Remember to tune in next week to see what new and exciting events are going on in your community.